The Memphis Grizzlies tonight, my goodness, just the scoring around the basket, especially in transition and even in the half court, the Grizzlies were the tougher team. They hustled harder than the Celtics tonight. And the Grizzlies, they embodied who they often are praised to be. The Memphis Grizzlies, there, of course, the last decade, they're the grit and grind Grizzlies. Well, every
Right.
single Grizzlies team since Tony Allen, Mike Conley, Marcus Sol, since they all walked out the
Z-Ball.
door, every other Grizzlies team since then has embodied that culture
Yeah.
in Memphis, just like a lot of Celtics teams have done here in Boston as well. So you thought tonight's matchup, oh, it's going to be two gritty teams going against each other. But the reality is the Celtics, they really haven't been all that gritty this year, especially with the
No.
paint scoring. Every team beats the Celtics in the paint, and the Celtics, their philosophy is we're going to beat you from the perimeter. But the reality of the matter is when you shoot 18 of 60 from three, 18 of 60, okay? That's 30% on the night. They take, ah, the Celtics, they take 63 pointers tonight.
I mean,
They make 18. Well, guess
I
what? The
mean,
Grizzlies shot 33 three-pointers and made 15. That's
yeah.
45.5%. You just hear those numbers. We made 18 threes. They made 15. It's like, okay, cool. We shot we 9 more points in terms of threes tonight than the Grizzlies. We shot 27 less threes.
More
What?
three. Yeah.
Or sorry, right. The Grizzlies shot 27 less threes. My bad.
Yes.
But you get the
Yeah.
point.
Oh,
63
absolutely.
pointers for the Celtics tonight. I just I understand Missoula ball. I understand the statistical analysis behind why the Celtics shoot so many three-pointers. The math does work out, and we see on a lot of occasions when the Celtics can drain three-point shots and when they're shooting upwards of 40% from three, they're almost an unbeatable squad. But the last two games, the Celtics are really just jacking threes. They really are. And it's so unfortunate to see because we came on here Wednesday night with Xavier and we were saying, oh, the Celtics, they're kind of finding their rhythm from three here a little bit. They're actually taking open 3-point shots, and that's why Sam Hauser, he's getting his game going a little bit. Now, of course, Sam Hauser went out in this game tonight, but the rest of the team, well, this is 18 of 60, 63 pointer, and we shot 105 shots on the night. So you're taking 63 pointers and what? 45 twos. You're
Mm.
16 more, or sorry, 15 more attempts from three than two. And the halftime number was stark as well. I believe the halftime number was what, 31 to 19?
It was 20 Boston. It was 23-8 in the first quarter. 23 to Boston, 8 to Memphis. Attempts.
But
Yeah.
But in terms of attempts for the Celtics, it was 31 and a half from three, 19 from two. And then for the game, they're 45 from two, 60 from three. In a game, this is where I understand statistically why it's more efficient to be shooting 3-point shots, but they have to be good 3-point shots and they have to make sense within the rhythm and the flow of the game. Tonight's game, where the Memphis Grizzlies are just continuously beating you down low, they're actually shooting a high clip from three. They're shooting over 45%. They're really beating us at our own game, and not that they're
Mm.
taking the volume of the Celtics, the Grizzlies aren't, but the fact they only made three less threes with 27 less attempts, that's a game where the Celtics, they have to be more aggressive in going downhill towards the rim, getting the ball near the basket and scoring near the rim and stopping the 3-point jacking because down the stretch, down the stretch was terrible. It really
Yeah.
was. That's when the
Well,
Celtics lost the lead. And you want to give some credit to Peyton Pritchard specifically, and we'll get to him on another positive note in this game because he was the one he really made up the majority of the Celtics' good shooting tonight. He was 6 of 11 on the top there. He was
yeah.
6 of 11 from three, but everybody else just a putrid performance all around. And you're just in that fourth quarter specifically. Yes, that 3-point shot from specifically Pritchard got us back in the game, but afterwards it was there was one possession in particular down the stretch that I thought was just It embodied how the Celtics approached their 3-point ball tonight, and it was Tatum. He dribbled at the top of the key for about 10 seconds, and then he stepped back and
Does it
jacked a
every
three. The
game.
ball came out. We had 14 more seconds to shoot it, and somebody else, I don't remember who it was. It might have been Derek White, might have been Pritchard. Again, we're talking nice about Pritchard tonight after last night. We know we kind of hit on Pritchard last night, but whoever else, again, just jacked a three with 10 seconds left on the shot clock. And those are the type of 3-pointers that are not good for the Celtics. Missoula ball makes sense when the 3-point shots are good 3-point shots and they're open. Tonight, when you're taking 63s, 45 twos, you cannot tell me that about I'm not even going to put a number, at least 10, 15 plus of those threes were low quality threes for the Celtics. You can't be having that and finding success, because you're going to have nights like this where you shoot 30% from three. And no, it's not just, a little bit of bad luck for the Celtics. A little bit of bad luck. It's no, these shots aren't good shots. The whole reason you take 3-point shots in the NBA and you take them out of volume is because you're finding wide open looks from the corner, wide open looks from the wing, wide open looks from straight away. And don't get me wrong, there were some wide open looks out there specifically for Drew Holiday tonight, who did not have a good shooting night from three. 4 of 17 from three. 4 of 17 from Holiday. But I will say, some of those, got to give him credit. Got to take, Justin, we talked about this with Jaylen Brown. Take the shots that they give you. They were leaving him open in the corner. Did unfortunately miss a couple of those. So there's some leeway there. But for the rest of the team, can we just go down the list right
12 for 46 outside of Brown, who shot 2 of 3, and Pritchard, who shot 6 of 11. 12 of 46 between Tatum, Porzingis, White, Holiday, and Sam Hauser. 12 for 46.
And White is just really having just a terrible shooting slump right now in the last 2 games.
Hey, he's got the
2 of 15.
Yeah, I mean, hey, listen, and to go off your point on Drew Holiday, first of all, it'd be a little bit more concerning if he had passed those up. Now we talked about the significant drop off of Drew Holiday's corner 3-point shooting. 60% clip last year from the corner, just right around 34-35% this year from the corner, which that is a significant drop. But at the same time, we do talk about how historic 60% is from the corner. I think that with those corner shots and how they were leaving him open, take those all day. Dude, you shot 60%. I know not this year, but you shot 60% from there last year. It'd be concerning if you didn't take those. Make him pay. Make him pay for it. And there were 4 times tonight where he did make him pay for it, and a couple of them late in the game where it mattered most, coming off probably his best game all season last night against his former team in the Milwaukee Bucks. Tonight, 4 of 17. Don't love the 17 attempts, but I will say a majority of those were wide open. And if you guys remember the 55-point win last year against the Golden State Warriors, that's what they did to Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown made them pay. They were leaving Jaylen Brown wide open, and it would have been concerning if Jaylen Brown wasn't shooting those. So I do want to shed some little bit of light on that, on the Holiday thing. I'm not saying 8 of 26 from the floor is acceptable, but outside of Jaylen Brown and Peyton Pritchard, 12 of 46 is just unacceptable, Seamus.
Tatum, 1 of 10 tonight. Porzingis, 3 of 10.
Yeah.
Derek White, 2 of 7. Obviously, we're talking about Drew Holiday, 4 of 17. Hauser was 0 of 2. And that pretty much rounds it out there. So it kind of tells you the story for the Celtics in a sense. And Drew Holiday, this can't persist either. And I know it was kind of a special occasion if you're going to leave Drew Holiday open, and he had a couple of those shots tonight, but he led the Celtics in attempts tonight. After we're talking about Drew Holiday last week, going, I don't know, is he showing his age a little bit? Now he comes out and he takes the most attempts for the Celtics. Now, if they're wide open attempts, sure. But in terms of this game, I'm going to go ahead and say other guys on the roster now, you can't even really give out those shots, but Brown only shot 14 times tonight, but he was 10 of 14.
Yeah.
So Brown, he was playing efficient. This is what kind of is, well, I guess we're going to touch on this point right now. Brown, and specifically Peyton Pritchard, Brown, he was 2 of 3 from 3. He was 10 of 14 overall. So you do the math here. He was what, 8 of 11 from 2? If I'm not mistaken here, 8 of 11 from 2. He's going downhill, getting to the rim, getting to the basket, 8 of 11. Super efficient from Brown. As for Peyton Pritchard, he went 6 of 11 from 3. Now he went 7 of 12 from the entire field, so he was 1 of 1 from the 2-point land there. And he was really the player making 3-point shots tonight. He took 11 of them after he only took 3 last night. Those two players, I thought they needed to be the focal points of the Celtics down the stretch. And who were not the focal points? Jaylen Brown, Peyton Pritchard. And yet you have Tatum, 21 shots, 6 of 21. Drew Holiday, 26 shots, 8 of 26 tonight. That, to me, the distribution was all off. It just was simply all off tonight, especially in the fourth quarter.
The distribution was well off, and there was a point where the Celtics were down like 90-78 and in that third quarter and towards the end, and Peyton Pritchard went on a run by himself once again and really lifted the Celtics back into this game, as well as to start that fourth quarter. And Jaylen Brown had not attempted, if I'm not mistaken, hadn't attempted a 3-point shot in the first 3 quarters. Those 3 attempts and 2 makes came in that fourth quarter to really keep Boston afloat. I do want to point out that, to me, and this happened last season too, and I know it's kind of hard when you're 19-5 and you just, and complaining about last season when you complaining about what happened last year when we literally won our 18th championship. But a big issue with what I've seen is when things are working, the Celtics steer away from them. And Rob and I had a podcast together out last year. He came over to my apartment. We recorded a podcast, and if you guys remember, this was around the time the Celtics had that brutal home loss to the Lakers, where Lakers just shot like lights out from 3, and they were missing like Anthony Davis. I don't know if LeBron had played or not, or whatever the case was.
They were both missing. Austin Reeves lit us up.
It was just a terrible that week was just not a good week for the Celtics, and we were talking about how the Celtics just steer away from what's working, and that's what happened tonight. Celtics were running in mud all night long, especially offensively, and they steer away from Peyton Pritchard and Jaylen Brown. They could have easily laid down in this fourth quarter, and the Grizzlies could have built on that 12-point lead, but Peyton Pritchard and Jaylen Brown exerted their energy and really were hitting shots down the stretch, and Celtics eventually, as we saw the lead tracker earlier in this show, Celtics had a 4-point lead in that fourth quarter. And what happened? The offense got stagnant.
Yes.
Kristaps Porzingis, I love me a 7'3" guy who can stretch the floor. I don't love me a 7'3" guy when all he does is stand 30 feet away from the basket and shoot 3-pointers down the stretch.
Yeah.
Did not like that tonight.
No.
I thought when it got down the stretch, hey, if anyone's shooting a 30-foot shot, give it a P. Give it a Peyton Pritchard, man. 22.6 of 11. He was on it tonight. Coming off of probably his worst game of the year last year, Milwaukee, their game plan just totally took Peyton Pritchard out of the game for the Celtics. So definitely give the Bucks credit on that end. But I was very disappointed, Franco, to see the Celtics steer away from Jaylen Brown, and Peyton Pritchard, because those two are the only ones who offensively at least showed up tonight.
Can I sound like an AAU coach right now and say, take a step in? That's like the number one thing I have PTSD flashbacks to, is whenever I was having a bad shooting game, take a step in. I think that's what the Celtics need to do.
And shot with 2 hands from the chest, by the way.
It was above the head, actually. It was worse than you could even imagine. But
like Joakim Noah, that's how he shot, by the way.
It was more of a Larry Bird, but when the Celtics did come back in the fourth quarter, there were 3 plays in a row, and it was done by 3 separate players, and it was them driving to the rim after doing a triple threat up fake and getting to the rim. There was a Kristaps and one, a Jason Tatum and one on back-to-back possessions, and that's when I thought the Celtics were going to gain that momentum and be able to hold out for the rest of this game going into the fourth quarter. And they just shied away from it. They tried to play keep up and obviously 3 is more than 2, as Joe Mazzulla loves to say, and that's what we used to harp on him for all of last year. Now we can't really give him as much slack from winning a championship using his mentality of getting offensive looks. And obviously, there's enough talent on this team that if they are able to make those shots, that we're looking at a whole different standpoint. But they need to keep on doing a good job of adapting throughout the game. They need to keep on making those in-game adjustments, and they need to start sticking with what's working. They try to spread the love around a little bit too much. They have tried to, if someone's having a good game, they try to see if that momentum can carry over. Obviously, Peyton Pritchard's been doing a phenomenal job off the bench, being able to get his looks, get the 3-pointers during the game to get the team going. And it almost seems like they're only using him as not the one to bring this team back. They don't want him to shoulder all the weight of this team, and they want their stars to step up. And there's going to be situations when they're not going to be able to. And I think a good rule of thumb for the Celtics is the shorter you are, the further away from the rim you should be. I think that having Kristaps down low would have served as a monumentous point. Obviously, he was dealing with an injury, so we don't want to. I would never call him fragile, but if you don't feel comfortable sticking him in the paint, then what is he? Another 3-and-D guy? I think he needs to continue to work down low, and having that 5 out is not going to work on a night when you're trying to make those shots. And if you're going to take 60 shots, you should be getting a lot more second chance points if they're missing.